Hello friends, welcome to Life as a Premier League Fan, episode 1. In this first podcast here, we have Sarthak Mondal, who is a Chelsea fan as well as an upcoming PhD student of sports economics and governance. We will talk to him about his life as a Premier League fan as well as what he does during his PhD program. Hello Sarthak, how are you? Welcome to Premier League Museum.
Hello Prashant, thanks for having me. It's nice to be on the show.
Let me first start with a quick introduction of Sarthak. So Sarthak is an upcoming PhD student of sports economics and governance from Sheffield Hallam University. And just to give a brief background of his achievements, he has got 3 honorary awards. He's a National Student Employee Team. He has won National Student Employee Team of the Year Award 2019. He has won FA Level 1 in coaching football. He has also won an honorary award for Transform Together scholarship. He knows 3 Indian languages, Bengali, English, Hindi. And, he has 3 skill endorsements. There are people who have endorsed his skills on presentation, sports management, sports performance management. He has also got 3 publications, an analysis of competitive balance in the top divisions of Russian football, Rising Stars, competitive balance in 5 Asian football leagues, as well as cricket general in Research Handbook of Global Sports, which we'll talk to him more about as well. And of course, he has got numerous other certifications in sports management. First of all, number 3. I see a lot of number 3s in your achievements. Does 3 hold us?
You can say like 3 has a special significance now because 3 is also the sponsor of Chelsea.
Interesting. So let me start with this first. Tomorrow's Chelsea FA Cup, what do you think will be the scoreline?
At least we can hope that we might win, but given the way some of our players play and with the lack of leadership within the team, it is very good to not have any expectations really.
I think that's the beauty of FA Cup as well, whether it's a lower division team or whether it's a Premier League team or whether it's the top or the bottom Premier League team. It just continues to spring surprises.
Yeah, I remember once we were knocked out by Bradford City in FA Cup. It was 2014-15 if I'm not wrong. We somehow conceded 5 goals in that match.
That's the romance of FA Cup.
Yeah, and definitely it is a romantic cup as well. I have been to FA Cup semi-finals in the Wembley Stadium between Chelsea and Southampton. As a kind fixture for us, to be honest. It was good to see Alvaro Morata actually scoring because he did
one of the few goals. So how did you start following Premier League?
As someone who is born in the mid-1990s, the first real experience of football for us was the 2002 FIFA World Cup. The great Brazil team winning in the South Korea and Japan World Cup against Germany 2-0, and that was the season when Premier League basically first started broadcasting their games in India. It didn't used to be all of the games. Back in those days, Star Sports and ESPN used to be the same brand entity. We used to have ESPN and Star Sports, 2 different channels. And there were games of only 4 teams, Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool. So we don't really have much option. I'm sorry to disappoint Tottenham fans, but you and also Manchester City, but you weren't a Big 6 team back in the days.
That's true. Those were the days when it used to be the top 4, not the top 6.
Yes, and so I started supporting Chelsea because they used to wear the blue color, and it was something I used to think back in the days as a 5-year or 6-year-old kid that might be something representing India. I didn't even know that it was the English Premier League back then. So I started following the blue team. It was not Chelsea. It was a blue team against the 3 red teams. So I used to support the blue team, and then slowly, as I started growing older, it was the English Premier League, and basically from my dad, who introduced me to various different sports. And I don't know how my dad became a fan of Premier League without any television or radio, but he's a massive Newcastle United fan. I started supporting Chelsea in 2002, 2003. That was pre-Roman era.
Pre-Roman
And
Abramovich era, yep.
yes, and that was the season John Terry was breaking into the team.
True.
Uh, and in those we had Frank Lampard as well back then, and we had Claudio Ranieri as one of our managers.
Right,
And
that was the season when 2002 was the season when they came second and under Claudio
yes,
Ranieri
yes, and
and
that was one of the main reasons why Roman Abramovich bought the club.
bought. Yes.
So, always thankful to Claudio Ranieri for taking us to second. And when I grew older, I always felt that the way he was sacked was very wrong. And it was kind of poetic justice when he won the Premier League and he got the Guard of Honor at Chelsea. And it was, you can say, the Chelsea team which helped Leicester win the Premier League by
Leicester
defeating
win by defeating Tottenham.
I mean, you can say, I would rather say more like you can say whatever goes around comes around.
Comes around.
So
Yeah.
it happened with us in the Champions League as well. John Terry slipping up from the penalty spot against Manchester United. Drogba getting sent off in the 117th minute, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
4 years later, Drogba taking the fifth and the winning kick for Chelsea against a in a final we shouldn't have won by any means, but well, life is not fair always, and it is sometimes better to be winning as underdogs. I mean, like the seasons in which Chelsea should have actually gone on to win the Champions League, it didn't happen, but it had to happen sometimes in that cycle because that
Right.
was such a good team put together by Jose Mourinho and
Right.
later by Carlo Ancelotti, the
Yes.
likes of John Terry, Frank Lampard, Peter Cech, Ashley Cole, Didier Drogba, later Nicolas Anelka,
Anelka as well.
Florent Malouda. We had Arjen Robben as well.
Ivan Robin was there. There was Ramirez.
Yeah, we had in somewhere between 2005 to 2007 we had both Andrei Shevchenko and Hernan
Shevchenko.
Crespo in the team as well. And then we had this player called Damien Duff.
Damien Duff, Woody Johnson.
Yeah, Edward Goodhansen. Then we had Joe Cole. We had
Oh yeah.
Ricardo Carvalho. We had William Gallas. And then before Branislav Ivanovic, I don't know. Many Chelsea fans know Branislav Ivanovic quite well, but before that we used to have a right wing back called Giuliano Belletti. What a
Correct.
player.
Right.
And
Right.
then there used to be players like Alex, Michael Essien,
True.
Michael
True.
Ballack, obviously.
Michael Ballack, yep, Ballack was obviously there. Who would forget that Champions League moment against Barcelona where
Yeah.
Ballack and Drogba ran after the poor referee?
I mean, the referee admitted 9 years later that what he did was wrong, but working within football, now I understand that sometimes, like, although we blame the referees, it is not always easy for
not
them
easy.
to give the decision
True,
because
in
they
the
are
heat
under
of the
constant
moment.
pressure.
Yep,
They're
yep,
under
yep,
constant pressure from both the teams.
yep.
And although we went out in the 2009, I mean, like, we should have got 5 or 6 penalties in that game. But that was a
Oh yeah.
beautiful goal by Andres Iniesta.
Yes, yes, they can't take away that goal, but definitely there were a lot of moments where, if you think about it today, in the hindsight,
But then all of it was repaid back, right, when Fernando Torres scored with 2 seconds from time
yes,
in
yes,
the 2011-12 semi-finals.
12
Like
semi-finals.
beating Barcelona on aggregate with 10 men in Camp Nou.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the influence. It seems like Chelsea you have been supporting, following, and obviously Premier League itself you have been following since 2000. Before 2000s, from the influence of your dad. How did that impact your career choice as well? Like the fact that you are into your sports career or the studies that you undertook. So was that something which influenced your career as well?
I mean, it certainly influenced, but I would have liked if it would have influenced me a bit earlier because, well, I started after my class 12th, or as you call it, school leaving examinations or A levels in the UK. I basically dropped out when I was in the final year of my BTech, trying to study computer science engineering. So I would have liked it would have been influenced me a bit early. So I could have but yeah, at the end of the day, I'm happy at what I am science. But yeah, I somehow tried, you can say, followed various universities and colleges,
Sure.
and then there was one of my friends who actually came to study in Sheffield Hallam in 2017 as a master's in sport business management.
Sure.
He got a scholarship as well. So I told him that, how do you do this thing? I want to do this because this is something I feel like I can actually excel at, rather than being an engineer and do a 9 to 5 job if somebody has appointed me or given me a job in the first place.
Yeah.
So after that, I contacted Sheffield Hallam regarding how to apply.
Okay.
And they walked me through the procedure, and then I applied for the course, and I got the scholarship one day before my final semester exams began for computer science. And that was the decision made, that I'm not giving my final semesters
Wow.
degree. At the end of the day, you want yourself to be related to something which basically you love or have a passion for. I still agree that not many people in India get a chance to follow their passion.
That's so true. I mean, things have changed, I would say, now to a large extent than they were probably a decade ago. I don't think any careers careers in sports or careers in hotel industry or careers in fashion designing were as acceptable decade ago than they are now. So things definitely have gotten better.
I mean, things are changing, and things definitely have to change for the better if India has to advance as a country, I believe.
So tell me about your university. What kind of courses do they offer, and what kind of for Premier League fans who are passionate about sports, what do these universities offer?
Okay, so in terms of in the Academy of Sport alone, where I did my sport business management degree, apart from the sports business management degree, we have a sports development and coaching degree as well. I have friends who did sports development and coaching, then did a master's in sports science from the same university, and went on to work for say Championship or League One clubs, and then make their way into Premier League clubs. Then there's a course around sport and exercise science. Then there is around, if you want to become a physical education teacher in a high school, you have physical activity and a school sport course. And then there is a course around sports technology as well. And then there is a course around sports engineering, which I believe is something way important in the modern day, more than sports engineering, because as you can say, natural turf is growing more and more obsolete. There is regarding the quality of AstroTurf or how is the football made. There are many questions and ethical considerations around that. So obviously there is this course, and apart from that, then we have in the business school we have courses around marketing, events management, finances, business management, hotel management. And then you have a whole range of different courses in engineering. You can choose whatever you want. You have a whole range of different courses in arts, journalism, and obviously you have a whole range of courses around physiotherapy, nursing, which is it is basically you can say a lot of different colleges within the same university, which is something a university structure is usually built around. And you don't necessarily need to study a sport course to be in the sports industry. You can study a different course. Say if you want to become a marketing manager of a Premier League club, becoming a marketing manager of a Premier League club in your first job is very hard, because you have to work your way up.
That's true.
But then if you don't do even sport business management and
Of course,
if you
yeah.
have a knowledge about sports, so you want to study generic marketing just to keep your career choices open, uh, you can do a marketing, say bachelor's in marketing.
Sure.
But although if you are doing like sport business management courses, you can work in different industry as well, because at the end of the day it is a business management course, and we have like people from our sport business management course who work in different fields in business roles that are not even related to sports in companies such as Airbus, Emirates, Boeing. Those are not related to sports,
Sports at all, yeah.
apart from sponsorship maybe, but those are not related to sports essentially.
Got it. So, for someone like you who directly reached out to the university officials and worked out your way, for anyone who wants to get admission or wants to start understanding how to get into the university, what would you advise them to do?
I mean, like the first thing is like Google is a human's best friend, I would say. So start researching on Google and like you can say find out the course which works for you, what you want to do, what type of subjects you want to study, and the universities in UK are pretty open about what they teach in the courses. So all the subjects which I studied through the 3 years of my degree were available on the internet before even I made a decision. So you can find out about that, and then there is usually the contact of the course leader as well. Try reaching out to them, ask
Sure.
them what are the advantages and the disadvantages. Be open about what you want. Like if you have any question, ask them, and ask as many questions as possible, because you don't want your course to be the wrong course after you have taken admission in it.
Like, is there any quota on foreign students or?
I mean, there is no quota. It is basically like if you are good enough, you're good enough.
Okay. So is it like a competition, like you have to submit an application and
Yes. All the applications are like done through UCAS, which is the University College and Admission system for bachelor's degrees in the UK.
Sure.
So you have to like apply through there. You can apply for as many as 5 universities through there, and each university has a different set of criteria.
Got it. And coming to the topic of Premier League, does your university get visited by Premier League top shots, the players, the officials?
Well, we have had people from our university working for the likes of Manchester United, one of my colleagues from last year, she was in my team, which won the National Student Employee Team of the Year award. She's now one of the HR managers in Manchester City.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know if she's still working in Manchester City, but last time I heard she was in Manchester City. We have people who go to Chelsea. We have, as a university, because we are in Sheffield, have close links to Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday. In my first year, I shadowed the operations manager of Sheffield United. That was when they used to be in the championship.
Sure. So how much of it is related, like how much of influence has Premier League over these universities versus other sports?
I mean, it is, you can say, like more of sports as a whole. Like most of the lecturers I have had, apart from a few, are not even into football. My course leader was official sports development officer, and later the executive board member and the head of development of swimming in northwest of England.
Okay.
One of my academic advisors, he was with Nottingham City Council, and he is more into the sport of basketball rather than anything else. My PhD supervisor is fortunately into football, so
you enjoy along with him.
yeah. So and depending on like the various lecturers,
Sure.
what sport they follow, you can say like the course material is usually influenced by those sports. Like the core material is the same, but the examples are related to the sports from where they can bring their industrial expertise in. And as a football fan, you have your right to write examples about football. No one can deny you that.
Deny that, yeah. And do they offer placements or do they have networking with these
I
network
mean,
agreements? Yeah,
they have networking. They put out placement advertisements at the end of second year.
sure.
We had to do like a 6-week placement, compulsory 6-week placement. There were loads of opportunities, but it is up to the student to apply and get it, rather
Got
than
the other university
doing
doing
some.
something for you.
Yeah, it is there. There is a portal where the university sources like about 150 placements, but it is up to the student to apply for it and secure the placement rather than anything
Got
else.
it.
And as a student, you are completely open to not choose that and do something of your own, source the placement of your own.
Of your own as well. And how difficult it is, because having discussed about the influence of Premier League on you, and you are now in the Mecca, you're studying in the Mecca of Premier League, where especially in current times there are matches happening every day. How difficult it is for you to keep your focus on studies versus, hey, let me put my attention on this match first and then I'll study later. How
Oh,
difficult is
well,
that?
well, I mean, you can say like obviously entertainment is always a distraction, you can say, but then like when I first came, Sheffield United used to be in the championship, and we used to like get student tickets to watch. £10 tickets to watch Sheffield United in the championship. I'm not
Sure.
going to reject that. Every 2 weeks, I used to go down to Bramall Lane. Uh, and apart from like you can say the Premier League football, as you know, 3 p.m. games are never live in the UK because of this blackout thing.
Okay. What is
So
this
there,
blackout thing? For our global fans, we would love to hear what is the blackout thing in UK?
oh, okay, so none of it is currently live now. You can get 3 p.m. games live now. The rule is just lifted for because of the pandemic, but usually there is no 3 p.m. games, no 3 p.m. Premier League games on live television in the UK. So
Okay.
you have to either listen to the club radio or TalkSport or BBC 5
Wow.
Live, and you can watch the highlights later.
Wow. And that's because there is an official
No,
broadcaster, you have to have a subscription
no,
of it?
it is because you are supposed to go and support your local team during that period.
Okay.
So usually 3 p.m. slots are reserved for championship teams or League One teams on a Saturday.
So who do you think are the other two clubs we can see in Premier League next season?
Among the two clubs, the one club I'd want to get promoted is Brentford because of the brilliant strategy they had with buying players, signing them, investing strategy. And I guess like I don't want to see West Bromwich Albion in the Premier League. I don't want to see them defending at Hawthorns with 8 men behind the ball.
Well,
I'd rather have Nottingham Forest in the Premier League next year.
you would rather have Nottingham Forest. So Nottingham Forest and Brentford are your picks.
Yes, but well, it might not happen. Even Fulham might get into. I would love Fulham to get into because our real rivalry is with Fulham rather than anything else. Chelsea versus Fulham is like one of the biggest West London
Is the
derbies.
best derbies, which are most winnable derbies you can have next Premier League season.
I mean, like to be really honest, Arsenal and Tottenham are not even Chelsea's rivals because both are in North
Others,
London.
yeah.
I mean,
That's
our
right.
rivals are Fulham and Queen's Park
Fulham,
Rangers, really.
Queens. And finally, what are your predictions for your favorite club, Chelsea, for next year?
I mean, for next year, like I'm really optimistic if we can buy a defender. I mean, like to be really honest, like although many people say that we have bought our way into success, I mean, like every club has bought their
Has
way
bought
into
their way.
success
I agree.
some way or the other. Yes, I mean, like to be really honest, clubs like Chelsea, even before like buying players, they built up a solid base, you can say, in players like
Yes.
Frank Lampard, then John Terry. These were the
Yes.
two mainstays.
Stays of the
This
club.
guy, this guy, even players like William Gallas, these guys came in before even Roman Abramovich took over the club. So these were some of the very best players in that era.
True.
So the foundation was always there. You
Always
just
there.
needed a bit of a kick to
True.
push you to success.
True. Something which
And
probably Daniel Levy is trying to do with Tottenham, but maybe too late. Or late wine is not always a good wine.
I mean, like with Tottenham, the thing is like this group of players, I mean, if they had to win something by now, they would have
They
won
would
it.
have won it.
But I mean, like, one of the thing is, like, I still believe like Pochettino is a very brilliant manager, and if you would have given him even like the clubs of Manchester United instead of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he would have won a trophy by now. Let's be honest, with the quality of players Manchester United have. By no means, like, although some of the fans absolutely diss Paul Pogba, I mean, like, no, by no means he's a bad footballer. He's a very good footballer, and that is one of the main reasons. He plays an instrumental role in the French national team and played
That's
for
true.
Juventus. So it has to be something wrong with the club rather than the player if it is
Yeah,
not
that's
working for one team and working for the other.
That's right.
And similarly for Chelsea, like, I think like we need to get a defender, and we have the wingers, the striking position and everything sorted for next year, at least for the foreseeable future. And if we can get a solid defender, I mean, like, we can expect at least, even if not the Premier League, we need at least another 2 years to bridge the gap to the top. And because these players are very young, we need to be patient with them. And I'm
Right.
sure the club hierarchy will be patient with Lampard, given the attachment he has to the fans of the football club, and also
True.
he himself is a player of Chelsea and he has that DNA within him, I can say. So given that, I would say, like, if in the next 1 or 2 seasons, like, players like Mason Mount, Billy Gilmore, if they are given like,
mature.
consistent chances in the Premier League, they can be some of the best players in the Premier League.
True.
I'm not saying the best player or the next Lampard or the next Ronaldo, but they can be definitely one of the best players who can bring success to the club. And with my coaching license, what I have learned is, like, you don't need to always buy the best players. You need to buy players who can work well as a team and get you success.
True. You need the quality, but also you need the integration.
Yes, exactly. Like, you can't have all the top players in the world in the same team.
Correct. That's true.
I mean, like, no offense to Manchester City, they have some of the best players in the world, but they don't have the integration within them, and that is one of the main reasons why they lost to Liverpool this year. You can blame it on the injury of Aymeric Laporte or whatever it is, but you still have like a team worth 700 million, so why not get another defender from within the team who can fill it out? And that is sometimes, like, players as fans, or even you can say some of the managers in the Premier League, they forget that the other 14 players who are not in the playing 11 are as important to the success
as the playing 11.
Because, like, what if someone gets injured, you have to replace him, and it will have to come from those 14.
That's true.
And even if you have like the first team, which is of incredible quality, you need to have a good depth within the club. So I would, you can say, sacrifice world-class players to have a consistent team which can win trophies. I can replace someone in and out whenever, as and when needed, rather than I mean, like, Manchester City has that sort of quality now. Like, they can field 2 Premier League teams and still finish. Both the teams will finish in top 4.
True. That's very true. So finally, to wrap it up, where do you think Chelsea will be this season? 4th, 3rd?
I still think that we'll finish 3rd, because no one wants to play in the Champions League.
So you might take it by default. which surprisingly is the story of last season as well. How the last season ended.
I don't know how we finished 3rd last season. I mean, like, I will never understand how we finished 3rd last year. I will never understand if we finished 3rd, how we finished 3rd this year as well.
Yeah. No, that's a big achievement for Frank Lampard with the kind of constraints he had. I think.
I mean, it was always well known that we, as a club, Chelsea, always had the quality in the academy to be. But to be really honest, as fans, we didn't expect a top 4 finish. We were happy with the top half finish, to be honest, given most of the players they never played in the Premier League apart from Tammy Abraham.
True.
I mean, like, Mason Mount coming back from a season in the Championship. Hudson-Odoi is pretty new after the injury.
True.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek he came back like right now. Players like Billy Gilmore, they only played in Premier League 2, and when put in the first team, never looked out of shape. That they're
True.
not Premier League class. But here with these youngsters, what I believe that you need to be patient because they're still young, and although they can produce brilliant performances, they will be inconsistent at times, and that is what you get with youth players. So if Lampard and the board can get the right blend of youth and experience, I mean, like, Chelsea would be challenging for the league again very soon.
True. Well, we want to wish the Chelsea and club and the fans all the very best. And also, Sarthak, we wish you all the very best for your course and the future that you hold. I'm sure it's, touch wood, a pretty bright one. Thank
Hopefully.
you very much for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this podcast. And to the Premier League fans as well, if you like this podcast or you want us to record more of this similar podcast, please let us know. Put the comments. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Thanks,
Thank you.
Sarthak. Bye bye.